If there's something that Apple knows how to do, that's being creative and be innovative. These new Apple Provisions seem to be the new thing, and I want one. I'm Jonathan Panda, reviews for success. These goggles are $3,000. 3,000. I know people that have purchased cars that cost less than that. I know people that have purchased cars for 1,000, but that's insane. 3,499. That's basically $3,500 or $291.58 a month. That's a car note for 12 months. Right before I started thinking about buying them, I just looked at the price and I realized I may have to I may have to save up for some time before I actually try making this purchase. But that's the price tag on these goggles. Now, I'm going to fit the screen on here so that way you guys can see me while I speak, because I don't want to be moving the screen the entire time. So I'm going to put myself right here in the corner and I'm going to adjust it just a little bit for you all. But anyways, these goggles look nice. I checked out the Marques Brown review. I watched it for about 3 minutes and then I said, oh, you know what? Let me do a review on this on my channel. So yeah, here we are. So before we actually review Marques Brown's video, let's look at the goggles from the Apple website. So the description says it's a light seal. It magnetically attaches to the front and generally conforms to your face while blocking out stray light. That's nice. I was questioning that. I wanted to know more about the stray light because I know that's something that sunglasses have, goggles, and that's insane. Okay, so this right here, I guess, is the strap. Solo knit band is a 3D knitted, creating a unique rib structure that provides cushioning, breathability, and stretch. Okay. And you can detach this. You can actually detach the strap. That's innovative right there. The dual loop band features a new pair of adjustable upper and lower straps for a personalized fit. Okay. Nice. So that's what you get in a box. Now let's do what you guys came on my channel to do. That's watch Marques Brown video.
It's actually new, and there are downfalls and flaws and trade-offs that come alongside all of this stuff. So at the end of the last video, I gave you guys a sort of a preview of my pros and cons list. If you haven't already watched that video, it is definitely worth watching.
So he made 2 reviews. This is the second review. And I think this is the best one.
To this one, it is a 30-minute.
Because he knows more about the goggles and he explains what he's experienced so far. The other one, it's a newer review with less experience with the goggles. So I think this is the best one because he's had more experience. So he could give us a more honest review.
Monster, all about how to use this thing, how it works, what's inside, what it's capable of. And then at the end, I got to my upsides, which are immersiveness, placement in space, eye tracking and hand control, pass-through, ecosystem, and spatial audio, and the downsides, which are weight and comfort, the eyes on the outside, app selection around, battery life, and price. So okay, for starters, I want to amend immersiveness to fidelity. I think that's more accurate here.
Interesting. I really like the way Marques plays around with his vast English vocabulary. Interesting words to combine together. Fidelity. Normally when you think of fidelity, you think relationships.
A bunch of different VR headsets now. And this Vision Pro has the sharpest, best looking micro OLED display out of all of them. The size of individual pixels on these displays is 7.5 microns, which means you could fit 64 of them in the size of a single iPhone screen's pixel. You can't see individual pixels. There's no screen door effect. It's awesome. The native refresh rate is 90 Hertz, and it will crank up to 96 Hertz when there's 24 FPS content playing to be an even multiple. And Apple says that they calibrate every single one of these Vision Pro displays from the factory for maximum color accuracy.
That's tough.
They're really good, and this is a big reason why this headset is so expensive. But then, and this is going to be a recurring theme here, the Vision Pro runs up against the technology of today not being quite advanced enough to accomplish what they were probably hoping as ideal. So
an ad. Okay, I'm gonna play around with this. I'm gonna try to skip this as fast as possible. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Here we go. All right.
these screens, right? They're amazing. There are so many pixels, but because there's so many pixels, the computer inside cannot actually render everything in high resolution all the time at 90 hertz. So instead, it does something clever. It combines the insanely fast eye tracking with what's called foveated rendering, meaning it's only actually rendering high resolution exactly what you're looking at when you're looking at it. The rest,
that is so tough. That's basically like a human's eye. Just think about it. It can focus what you like. When you look at something, you can see what's on the outside, and the stuff that's on the outside is blurry. But whatever you're looking at, like I'm looking at the camera right now, and that's the most clear thing in my peripheral vision right now. Actually, that's the clearest view that I have. But everything else on my side is blurry. I can't see it as well. So these goggles have the capability of doing that. So whatever you look into, it will focus on it. So basically, I guess it reads your eyes, your pupils. That's interesting.
is soft and fuzzy. That actually works really well because that's exactly how our eyes work. It's really clever. Like,
That's
you don't
tough.
think about it, but the thing that you're looking at the moment is sharp, but then the rest of your peripheral vision is soft and fuzzy, and that's fine. So really now, all the computing work is being done to track your eyes as fast as possible so that there's no lag between when you look at something and when it becomes sharp. Fun fact, you can actually see this in screen recordings from the Vision Pro. You can see the piece of the screen that I'm looking at is sharp, and then everything else around it.
So basically, you don't have to turn your head in order to see what's on the outside, on the side of the actual goggles. You can literally just look the other direction and the goggles will focus on that. That's intense. That's intense right there.
Even of the same window are fuzzy on purpose. But to my eye, that looks totally natural because I'm focusing on one thing at a time. You can also screen record with mode in Xcode, and that'll make the clips 4K, and it'll render everything in HQ all at once.
Whoa.
But every time I did that, it would be choppy.
Seriously though, I want to know when Apple will come out with their first 6K product. That's going to be interesting right there. When 6K, I wonder if they're even allowed to do that. I've seen some 6K videos on YouTube, but when they come out with 6K products, that's going to be
scrolling would be
a game
slow
changer.
and jittery. And I'm thinking that's just because the computers aren't really used to rendering everything in high quality all the time. So it looks like a higher quality recording, but the second I did any scrolling, it didn't look as good, so I just didn't use those recordings as often. So the screens are great. The position tracking of objects in space are great. The eye tracking is incredibly good. The one ding against immersion on the Vision Pro, though, and not a lot of people are talking about this, but it's the field of view. See, the first few times you use this headset, you don't even really think about it that much. You're so distracted by all the fun and the newness and how cool it is that your eyes are controlling the thing. But eventually you start to poke around the edges, and it turns out, you know how people are saying it kind of looks like ski goggles from the outside? Well, it also kind of looks like ski goggles from the inside a little bit too. Again, the middle is super sharp and incredibly impressive. But if I can do my best Year 3 YouTube video, the edges of the headset are a little bit further in than the edges of your vision. And so there's a little bit of like a cone effect going on, and there's some chromatic aberration around the outside. So you kind of have this slight feeling of looking into a large tunnel at everything. There are actually no field of view numbers published anywhere about Vision Pro as far as I can tell. And I kind of think that's on purpose because I have noticed from using them both that the Quest 3 has a better, wider field of view just looking inside the headset. So if I could change one thing about the Vision Pro to make it more immersive, it would be a wider field of view. No question.
I have to try them out myself in order to say, because I've never owned a pair of goggles, Oculus goggles, and I would love to buy these, but the price tag doesn't seem to be in my range to purchase right now. I can't, but it would make me a bit sad. I question my savings a little bit. Anyways, let me skip this little music scene. I don't want the sound to be caught on the copyright tracker.
I've ever used. That much is super clear to me. And weirdly enough, this doesn't actually surprise me either. Maybe because this is one of the products that makes it so obvious that they're thinking a lot about the future. Like Apple talks a lot about AR and how they want things to just be clear and just overlaying things onto your real world. But with today's technology, again, that's not quite possible yet. So instead, they have a VR headset, but they are using the highest quality camera possible and the highest quality displays on the inside pop.
You know, it would be so tough if Apple puts a camera in that, if they integrate a camera inside the goggles. That would be insane. I feel like that's going to be the next upgrade, or something that they will potentially add for this specific model. Who knows?
To let you almost feel like you're looking through it at the real world. So you put this headset on, and the first thing you see is pass-through. I mean, you might as well call it transparency mode. And the sharpness and the colors and the very low latency are all so good that I really don't experience any eye fatigue, no matter how long I am in this pass-through. Just my eyes being.
Speaking of eye fatigue, I wonder what the residual effects on your eyes will be from using these goggles, because I will be honest, my eye vision has dimmed down in terms of seeing clear. I used to have 20/20 vision, but now it's not as keen. I don't know what vision I have. I don't know where I am on the spectrum, but I believe it's due to the fact that I've been using my phone. And it all started once I got my first phone in 2015. I remember I was 15 or 16 at the time. I got my first phone. That same year, my eye vision just started falling downhill.
From these screens, I can interact with the real world around me, pick things up and look at them. I can walk around between rooms and not trip on things. I tried having people throw things at me and I could just catch them. I played table tennis successfully with the headset on, which is crazy if you think about what's
That's
actually
tough.
happening here. The total latency,
You better not
Apple
crack
says,
'em.
is 12 milliseconds. That's from the outside light hitting the outside sensors to the inside image being updated and hitting your eyeball.
That sounds fast.
That's incredibly fast.
Millisecond.
That includes the exposure time of the cameras. That's the specially designed R1 chip at work. But, as Neil from The Verge has put it, it's still cameras and screens. Like, the technology of today isn't magic, so you still have to expose a camera sensor and set ISO and shutter speed, etc. And you can kind of play around with this a bit just by looking around, like at bright objects or
Wow.
high dynamic range environments. And you know what? For the variety of situations I've thrown at this thing, it's handled it very impressively the whole time, mostly prioritizing smoothness and high shutter speeds at the expense of cranking up the ISO and getting way more noise, especially in darker environments. But you can still see stuff like the hand occlusion break sometimes or look really janky when you put your hand in front of something. You can still see objects start to float a little bit more in X, Y, and Z space when you're in much lower lighting as opposed to the usual perfect position. Again, it's the best I've ever seen with today's tech, but it definitely still has a long way to go.
Wow.
If you
Another
want
ad.
your e-commerce business faster,
Here we go. 2, 1.
So
Ecosystem.
the ecosystem is, I would say, the strongest argument for a regular person going out and buying today's version of the Vision Pro. Like I every time a new big product comes out or whatever, I get like texts from people. Oh, hey Marques, I know you already made like a 30-minute video about it and like unboxed it, did all that, but like, what do you really think about the Vision Pro? Like, is it good enough? Should I get one? And truthfully, probably not, but I will say that there are a good amount of things that I do specifically look forward to using for it, and most of those things are ecosystem related. So obviously there's the built-in apps, right? iMessage works perfectly just like any iPhone or iPad on your account. Photos are all loaded up in here straight from your iPhone. This is clearly the headset that is
tough.
best for iPhone users, Apple ecosystem people, but also little things too, like continuity, so I can copy some text on my Mac or my iPhone and then hit paste and it shows up in the Pro. But there's two really impressive ones to me for very different specific reasons. FaceTime and Mac Virtual Display. See, FaceTime is the most only Apple could ship this thing seen in a long time. From the personas scanned in from the cameras on the front of the headset.
So you mean to tell me you're gonna get an avatar version of yourself for FaceTime? That is different. That looks like Marques himself. I wonder how they did that. That is tough. That is Apple. Okay, Apple. Technology is
To the
just
positional tracking and
advanced
responsiveness of the
nowadays.
spatial audio, it's all so well thought out that, once everyone on the call gets past the initial, what is this? The shock, the moment they first see the virtual version of you, once they first get past that, then it actually kind of slowly gets easier and feels way more like a normal conversation than a normal FaceTime. And it trades the downside of not being able to hold up objects to your camera for a button that can switch to a real-time first-person view where you can use both hands instead of one. Does the audio from these speakers still bleed out into the rest of the world, so anything over half volume is incredibly audible to everyone in the room around you? Yeah. But does it also still sound really, really impressive?
Yeah, I'm curious to know about the speakers on these goggles. I wonder if if it has enough bass. Apple does a really great job with creating headsets, earbuds, and phones with great audio. And if the audio in these goggles do not pass the test, that would be kind of interesting because so far Apple has never failed in terms of audio.
For not actually being real headphones? Yeah, but the other thing is Mac Virtual Display. This is my number one favorite feature of the Vision Pro, even over watching movies and stuff. Now, first of all, yes, you can already do remote desktop viewing on something like a Quest 3. It's great. I love that too. But this one is way more interesting. So this is connecting to your Mac and then intaking and re-rendering a new virtual display for your Mac.
That is
not mirroring what's already being shown by your computer. So you can use
the display is even wider than what you would normally receive on a desktop. That's just different right there. Apple, man, the team did their job. But I just hope it's as efficient as it looks online. I would love to try this out.
Use your Mac with all of its existing controls you're already using with it, but make your new monitor literally as big as you want. And then you can open up simultaneous Vision Pro apps all around that Mac display and place them all around the room wherever you want. Over the walls, floating in midair, pin them to other objects, whatever. You can go nuts. Now, is this perfect? No. There are definitely trade-offs. From even the little things like not being able to see your keyboard when you're in an immersive environment, to only being able to have a single virtual Mac monitor at a time, to always having to look where you're controlling. I keep telling you.
I'm going to be honest, owning one of these will be distracting while trying to focus on work. If I was a student and I was studying with these goggles, that would be a bit distracting. I'd be turning to the side, looking at Twitter, what's going on. Or if I had the TikTok app open, I'd be looking tired. So I don't know how effective this will be for studying, but I will be honest, it will be entertaining though.
There's definitely extra brain cycles involved here. But I do still think that despite all that, this is my number one favorite feature of this Vision Pro. The number one thing that you can buy it for and do that you couldn't do with any other Apple product. I mean, it's the difference between looking like this in a coffee shop or looking like this in a coffee shop.
Yeah, the second picture is definitely
I also had a moment where
more
I was
appealing.
using the Vision Pro for a while, and I had my Mac and some other monitors around me, and then I took it off.
That's tough. That means you don't even have to bring a portable device, just the goggles, and you can do your work. See, Apple's really doing their job with technology.
And I went and did something, and then I came back, and before I put the headset back on, I looked up at the wall to where I thought a window was going to be, but I don't know if that says more about the headset or about me.
Interesting.
But speaking of apps, we got to get into the weaknesses. And the app situation on Vision Pro right now is one of them. So this is the home screen of Vision Pro. It has all of your apps. You can't rearrange them. It's always alphabetical.
Look at the cause
situation
figures.
that will record and improve over time. But as of right now, as I record this, on launch day, there are literally 600 apps made for the Vision Pro.
Okay.
That sounds like a lot at first, but then kind of not a lot. There are also the millions of other apps that are made for the iPad that are compatible with the Vision Pro that will show up, but there's 600 apps made specifically for the Vision Pro.
Yeah, I wonder
the two
what kind
apps
of
that are
apps
showing up here are pretty incredible, and they all kind of find unique and creative ways to take advantage of the 3D space. And I fully believe the rest of the developers are also kind of still trying to figure out what to do with the 3D space in their own app.
That is tough. That is tough.
Or even if it makes sense to do anything at all beyond the normal iPad app. But at this point, right now, today, I honestly believe that there are way more cool ideas about VR and AR experiences than there are actual apps. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some cool apps, and like I said, I've shown some in the past video, there are some more in this video, and there will be more that pop up every day. But have you seen that video of gamifying vacuum cleaning so that you can actually cover your entire floor space like a game? It's not a real app,
that is
but
tough.
If it was, it would be pretty sick, and I would...
You know, this would actually influence people to stay on their feet, to burn more calories. Apple, sign a deal with me so that way I can do something, because I am a trainer, by the way. So if they can allow me to make an app to help people stay on their feet, I will do it. This right here is something that I think would help people do that.
It. Or maybe you've seen that other video of watching an F1 race in Vision Pro. It is so sick. It's like there's a virtual relayed into your space.
Hold on.
Everything happening at once. Plus
yo,
smaller.
That is insane. That is insane. That is different. Apple.
The battles around different points of the track.
Whoa.
This looks genuinely better than the actual TV broadcast.
It does.
Experience.
Matter of fact, I'd probably watch this with my goggles rather going to the actual race. I don't know if you've ever, okay, that's a lie. I've been to a racetrack and I've watched the race and the ambiance is different. Definitely go if you ever have the opportunity, but this is different right here. It shows you an overview of the map as if you're at an actual race. That is tough. That is.
But it's also not a real app yet. It's just a concept. And I've seen all kinds of stuff. And
okay.
I want to watch.
Okay, I was about to say.
An NBA game courtside in the Vision Pro 2, but that experience doesn't seem to exist.
Imagine an NBA game like that. Oh, they got to sign some contracts because that would be insane. Matter of fact, they'll have to integrate cameras all across the stadium, all around the stadium, to get that type of image. That would be tough. The NBA would have
into this new space,
a goggle.
Implications of like, oh, okay, the tech is going to start to get better now. Sort of unlocked this new creative layer for people to dream of new AR and VR experiences, and it'll be up to developers to actually make that stuff happen over time with the constraints of today's technology. But as of right now, not a lot of apps. Also, no YouTube app, no Netflix app. There's no Spotify app.
They're gonna get that soon.
TikTok app yet. I hope that Apple can sort of patch up the relationship with these developers, because getting those apps will make this a better product.
100%.
But as of right now, that is definitely a weakness.
Because that will really be the only reason for me to purchase those goggles, to watch videos and play games. I don't play games, but I will be if I ever purchase those goggles.
Of this first-gen product. Hey, got a second? I'm to code, create, and experiment my web. Alright, I'm not been saying this, but this is not the most comfortable headset. And I figured out why. So first of all, everyone's mentioned the weight, and it's true. It does weigh like 25% more than a lot of other headsets.
Like
Take the Quest 3,
a little
for example,
over half a
probably
pound.
the most popular one, familiar to most people. That's mostly plastic, and it weighs 515 grams. So Vision Pro, being made of metal and having all this glass, weighing in at nearly 650 grams, it kind of seems like Apple just didn't care about the weight, but I don't think that's the case. Matter of fact, if you've seen the teardowns, or if you've seen what's inside this little computer here on your face, this is built incredibly efficiently. There's carbon fiber in here, magnesium, all sorts of other lightweight materials. Now, there's still lots of obvious heft on it, but 25% more weight shouldn't be the difference between comfortable and like I need to do neck exercises. No, the problem is this.
Yeah, that's going to be a
strap. This is the Solo Knit strap. This is the strap that's in all the commercials that everybody sees. This is what's on Apple's website. It's in all the Apple stores because it looks so cool. And I think when Apple was probably first deciding, okay, we're going to get into this VR headset market, how do we differentiate ourselves? We got to reinvent a few things, like the input method and all this stuff. I think they thought the strap had to be one of them, and that's how we got this thing. And I think Dave 2D was spot on in his recent video. VR headsets just kind of all look dumb, and the straps on them are all so universally lame looking. And this,
we'll be honest, they actually do, but these Google goggles look just a bit better than what I've seen so far. They almost look like snowboarding goggles.
This is just so much cooler. You put it on, it's the quickest to adjust. It messes up your hair the least.
You know, I bet people will be wearing these as accessories by the time the stock value goes down for this specific model, because this is the new thing.
Obviously has this little adjustment thing on the outside so you can scroll this wheel and satisfyingly like tighten the cables inside. Like this must have taken a lot of R&D to get this thing to look iconic and actually be functional. This is sick. But when you put it on, you sort of tighten it up against the front of your face, and it's squeezing it up against your face, all of the weight up at the front against basically these two pressure points, right above your eyes and right on your cheeks. And the more you tighten it to prevent light leak, the more uncomfortable it gets. And it's so hard to wear this for more than about 30, 45 minutes. After 45 minutes, I really do need to take this off. So it's not your neck as much as it's just all the pressure on the front of your face. And Apple knows this, and that's why they've included in the box this second band. This is the dual loop band, and it's super easy to pop this one off and pop this one on. Now, it's not as cool looking as the Solo Knit band, and it's going to mess up your hair more than the Solo Knit band, and it's not as easy to adjust as a Solo Knit band. You're literally like trying to find and attach Velcro blindly.
Yeah, that's going to be
basically, it's almost as lame looking as every other VR headset strap. But it turns out they all look like this for a reason.
Yeah, Apple, they're definitely going to integrate this, because from all the different technology that they have ever released, every year they either get smaller, lighter, and much more attractive. It's almost as if, like, just think about the first ever iPhone. It looked so beautiful when it first came out. 3 years later, they came out with another new generation of iPhones. Until this day, they're still releasing new versions, but they're definitely going to change the appearance. Probably make them, for sure, they're going to make them smaller.
Oh my God, is it so much better?
These are
wearing it for
large. I'm going to be honest.
I just recently did the last episode of the Waveform podcast. You can go subscribe over there. I wore the headset for the entire thing, a 2-hour recording, and I could never have done that with the Solo Knit. And that's because it's taking a ton of the pressure off of the front of your face and taking the weight and using the top of your head to support it instead. It's so much better. So if you're going to just hand the headset to someone to use it for like 5 minutes, the Solo Knit band is great because it's super quick, doesn't mess up their hair, easy to adjust, boom. But if I'm using this thing for an extensive period of time, yeah, the dual loop band is 100% the way to go. So I don't know if the eyes on the outside of this headset are actually accomplishing what Apple probably wanted them to accomplish. I think this again comes down to what we expect Vision Pro to be in the future. See-through glasses, way down the line. But that's obviously not possible with today's tech, so the closest we can get is a lenticular display that shows your eyes to the outside world, and so that you can see them and they can kind of see you. I don't know. At this point, I've tried my eyes, but also everyone else here at the studio has also scanned themselves in and tried eyesight, and it's just not very visible. Like, the smooth glass of the headset is so incredibly reflective that there's almost always some light bouncing off it in a way that it's hard to see. And even if you can see it, it's pretty low resolution thanks to the lenticular display. And the bottom line is it doesn't actually feel like eye contact most of the time, which
What?
is very different from what you might have seen in
That's
ads,
unique.
especially for darker skin tones. I was actually thinking about this. Like, this is so far from what I think I expected that I was wondering, does Apple in the next generation Vision Pro double down on eyesight, or do they get rid of it? I think they have to keep it. Like, it's such an iconic part of the headset that everyone's expecting it to stay, so it's got to be there. But also, this is Vision Pro, and I think that implies that we're going to get Apple Vision at some point down the road, which is like a less expensive version of this. And with that, do you take out eyesight, or does that still appear in the lower end version?
That's unique.
I don't know. Only time will tell.
Sheesh. Conclusion.
It's insane that I can build a powerful machine learning model nowadays just by chatting to
About
So, all right, look, at the end of the
3
day,
minutes left.
when I'm answering those texts about what do people want to know what I really think about Vision Pro, I think the Vision Pro is a really expensive, really fun toy. Like, this is an incredibly fun piece of tech to play with, and I am loving watching the pieces of media built specifically for Vision Pro. I am loving playing some of the new early games that are taking advantage of the 3D space and the hand controls. I am loving the idea of getting on a plane and editing videos on my Mac, or watching a movie on a gigantic screen while the person next to me can't see any of what I'm doing. That stuff is all so sick. And if you're actually thinking about buying one, I think you should be able to expect to enjoy all of that same stuff too. But definitely still note that all of the symptoms of a first-generation product are definitely also still here. It's heavy. It's not a lot of apps. The battery life is meh. And it's expensive. So here's the bigger question. Is the Vision Pro a guaranteed success in the future?
Let's find out.
Because the first generation iPhone had all of the same downfalls in its generation, and look at where we are now. So also,
everyone
same
has
with the
iPhone
watch,
now.
same with the iPad. But here's the thing. You can just say the other stuff had problems and it became successful, therefore this one having problems also means it's successful. It doesn't work that way. There has to be something about this that people actually like that makes them willing to overlook the first generation downfalls. And I think this has it. I think it has. Honestly, it's kind of just the sci-fi fun nature of like controlling things with your hands, moving windows around the room. The sci-fi movie energy, you've seen it. You're probably already thinking of a certain movie that has that sort of energy. This has that. And the fact that these ideas of what people want to do in VR are so universally well-liked and so cool, that means that there's something here. There's something that people want even in this first generation. Now, will all this new attention on VR headsets in general shine a lot of light on all of the other much cheaper competitors that you should probably buy instead of this one, like the $500 Quest 3? Yeah. Now, will all this new developer attention in this VR AR space bring a lot of way cooler, way more awesome applications that will rapidly improve the value proposition of this $3,500 first-gen headset? Yeah. Should you go out and buy one of these if you've got the money and you saw one or two really cool-looking apps that you want to try from the videos? Sure, why not? It's your money. But I'm already very excited for the next generation.
Wow.
Thanks for watching. Catch you guys in the next one.
Okay. Yo, shout out to Marques for that review, man. Marques is doing his thing. Shout out to Marques for that video, man, because he's doing his thing with these reviews, and I think he's an inspirational man in terms of his character and what he's doing for the culture and technology itself. But shout out to Marques, and that video was good, a really good review. Overall, I have a few suggestions, and I am questioning certain things about the goggles, and I'm going to talk about them a little bit. I'm not going to take too long because I know this video has been running for about 36 minutes. So My first question for Apple is, how will these goggles affect your eyes in the long run? What are the residual effects of wearing these for over 4 hours a day? Because remember, this is going to be like your new phone. You can do pretty much everything. I wonder if I'm pretty sure they're going to add the ability to call people. It's an Apple product. You can call people with your Apple Watch. I'm pretty sure you'll be able to call people with these goggles. So I want to know how they will affect your eyes in the long run. Next, now I'm pretty sure there's cameras that are already in here, but will they integrate a different camera to be able to picture what's behind you? That would be insane right there. I feel like that's something that they may consider, because what else can they do? You know, you can only, well, you never know with technology. With the way technology has been innovated / invented, you just never know. And I'm also curious to know, would we be able to use these goggles as prescription glasses? This right here is a good question. I want to know if they have the capability of integrating that. Basically, you ordering the goggles online and setting up the prescription for the goggles. So when you receive them, you can use them as actual glasses instead of your regular glasses. That would be insane. If they can do that, that stock price will be skyrocketing. And I'm also curious to know, will they integrate Eye ID? For example, when you use an iPhone from now on, you can turn on your iPhone with your Face ID. Will they use Eye ID? Because everyone's eye is unique. Everyone's eyes are unique, I bet, I'm guessing. I don't think anybody has ever lived in this world with eyes identical with someone else. And I'm also curious to know, will they make this more affordable? I think this will be no. I think the price on these will stay up. If not, it will go up higher. And the last thing that I have to say is, if I buy these, I don't think I would ever be able to sleep, because with my iPhone, I stay up 2 hours past my bedtime. So with these goggles, I would probably be looking at something, and in my head, I would think that it's daytime. I think these goggles have the capability of doing that. Who knows? But I am excited for these goggles. I would love to buy these in the future. I just need to make sure I stack my money up so that way I can purchase these. But if you're going to be someone who's going to buy them, man, shout out to you. And I'm going to clap for you, because $3,499 is not a little bit of money. That's a lot of money. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I am Reviews for Success, Jonathan Panda. Welcome to my channel. If you're new, if you're not new, you already know what kind of vibes I have. But if you enjoyed my video, I would appreciate it if you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. Join the community. I'm welcoming you in. And let me know about your opinion about these goggles, Marques's review video, and about my channel and my video. Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear about your opinion. And I will see you all in the next video. Peace.